everybody. Welcome into the Wednesday edition of the Casual Sports Podcast. Once again, I will say before we get started, this is pre-recorded on Tuesday, so anything that happens in the sports world on Tuesday, March 8th will not be mentioned, or March 9th before the show. So without any further ado, I'm Alek Koberna. That over there is Matt Morrison. Matt, how's it going here? Another day in the books. Just talked about a ton of conference matchups. Show before this on a double, basically pre-record for us.
We
got even more conference games to go to. And if you missed yesterday's show, the top 10 has been moved to Thursday. So if you missed it, well, you still got a chance to watch it because we haven't even talked about it yet. Top 10 will not include any of these conference games going on. So that being said, before we jump into college, how about we go a little high school, Matt? It's Wednesday. You know what that means? Time for the regional semifinals. I'm so hyped up to be able to go down to Canton to see this one. Two of the best teams coming out of the Valley. Kind of wish they would move this game, closer to Youngstown. That would be, kind of nice to since both these teams are from Youngstown, get them back in front of their home crowds. Really, I mean, if you played this at Youngstown State, that would be awesome. But it's at Canton Memorial, and what should be a fantastic game. I mean, Canton Memorial right next to that Hall of Fame in a huge sports complex built really within these last 20 years. I mean, they've been adding on to it in Canton for what seems like forever. So it should be a great one. This Campbell Memorial team, 20-game win streak right now. They're 24-1 overall, 14-0 in conference play. They seem absolutely unstoppable. Their one loss came to Lowellville by 4 points. In the rest of the season, I mean, they played phenomenal ball. The one thing, I've been talking about it with Ty Bartell a little bit when we were first talking about this game. Cardinal Mooney just took down Liberty. Liberty, in the first time they played up against this Memorial squad, they lost by just 2 points. So you got a chance now when you look at those head-to-heads on what teams Mooney did against this Campbell Memorial squad. It actually lines up pretty well. This is turning out to be one of the best games. It'll be a 6 p.m. game. Obviously, you can find it here on ysnlive.com. Cardinal Mooney, man, I've talked about them all season long. It's boring, but they win, man. This is a gritty team. They will fight you tooth and nail. They're gritty, but it's always fundamental basketball. And to me, sometimes fundamentals just beat talent if talent doesn't show up to play. And I think that's maybe the biggest thing Cardinal Mooney right now is hoping on. If they're fundamental basketball, that their pure talent can come out here and really win these games, because they don't have the talent that that Campbell Memorial does. That's obvious. I mean, you don't go 24-1 without having some of the best talent you've ever had on a team. But at the same time, the one thing Cardinal Mooney has shown this postseason that I don't think I've seen from anybody near as much, heart, man. And this team, when you go out to win games, you need heart. When the game's on the line, what do you need? It's heart. And one thing in this game, stats, every single one of them will favor Campbell Memorial. Leading scorer, Kevin Moore, more than Mick Hergenrother, who leads 4 out of the 5 statistical categories for Cardinal Mooney. The only one he doesn't is blocks per game, and that goes to Ed Driscoll, who I think's played just one game and got a block in it. But on the other side, I mean, you got Kevin Moore, who's got nearly 20 points per game. In the national average, he's doing pretty good compared to the national average, which sits at 4.9 for points per game. So I would say that's pretty okay in my book. Xavier Leonard, an awesome rebounder. We'll go up and that. Jameer Weaver dishing that rock. Score plenty on his own too. Kevin Moore getting 3 steals per game, and then Xavier Leonard with 3 blocks per game. This is a statistically dominant team. If you're talking about statistics and you want to translate this to what college basketball team is, I would say Houston. Houston earlier in the year when they were dominating teams, every stat category loved them. They did, mess up a few games here and there and lose some. That hasn't really happened to Campbell Memorial yet. I'm interested to see what could happen out of that. And a lot of common opponents between these two teams. And out of the common opponents, Memorial's 8-0 and Mooney's 5-2. So there really isn't a ton of separation here. Cheney beat down on Cardinal Mooney, and obviously Memorial beat down on Cheney. But there's a couple of these things, man, that these teams are just pretty neck and neck. And the one thing for Mooney, bad on the road, but throw it out the door because they're 4-0 in the playoffs. They played twice as many playoff games so far than Campbell Memorial has. So to me, when you look at that, they got this experience rolling right now. And obviously,
I was just about to say,
from last year as well of, hey, this is where we were last year. Let's get beyond that again. Let's go to make this a state run and see what this team's really made of, because you never know until you get into this opportunity to make this run what a team can really be made of. Because, Matt, you and I saw some great teams go into Cuyahoga Falls just last week, and we thought these were the best teams we've ever seen play basketball, and they got run over in the first round. That's no disrespect to those ladies playing on the floor, but they went up against teams that were just a little bit better than them, and they didn't come out on top. And with that being said, I mean, you get to this stage. Last time out, Mooney lost in this round. They got absolutely run over by Cleveland Heights Lutheran East, the team that made it all the way to win the Division III state championship. They lost that first round 31-74, and nobody was getting even near Lutheran East until that state semifinal, in which they only won by 5 points or 6 points here, and then they won by 5 points in the championship game. No one could touch Lutheran Heights last season, so you never know. Region 9, it seems again this year, looks to be the strongest region out of them all when it looks into this Division III bracket, and that's made up currently of Youngstown Mooney, Campbell Memorial, once again, Cleveland Lutheran East, and Creston Norway, another team that was here last season. So Memorial, the one newcomer to this Region 9 this season, obviously with a lot of hype, a lot of chance to make some noise here. Interested to see how they fare against Mooney in this one. Right now, the Region 1 runs through Lutheran East. The winner of this one most likely takes them on unless Norway can pull a huge upset in this regional semifinal. We'll have to wait and see what happens in that one. That'll be the game following mine. Might stick around to see what happens for that. Not sure. It'll be a late night at that point, so I'll play it by ear on my end. But this should at least be some phenomenal basketball games to see this later tonight, actually. 6 p.m. game for me and Mooney against Memorial. I'm on the call with Ty Bartell. He'll be taking play-by-play, so I get to sit back a little bit and watch these two teams put it all out there on the line to head to the regional finals this week.
Yeah, I mean,
regional finals, by the way, also coming up. I think it's Saturday for this week, so should be epic.
Yeah, it should be pretty sweet. I've seen this Campbell team before. The guys you mentioned, man, Weaver is a heck of a player. He can pull up. I mean, he can pull up from three, and he just wait till you see this dude. He just literally just throws the ball up and it goes in. This looks like he just comes out. And it looks like, honestly, this is nothing against him, but it looks like, I mean, he just rolled out of bed and came to play. And he's like, boom,
whatever
boom,
works,
boom.
right?
He's on. When he gets in, he is on. And then, of course, Kevin Moore and Xavier Leonard is a dominant force in the paint. I mean, it's unbelievable. But like you said, I mean, what's their name? I forget their name.
For which team?
The team Rocco's on. You just said
Cardinal Mooney?
Yeah, Cardinal Mooney. My bad. Listen, this is the back.
I've only talked about them all season.
It's morning, and yeah, I have so many excuses to say right now. But Cardinal Mooney, they have experience. They've been together. They were just here last year, so they have that going for them. I mean, it's gonna be a toss-up game.
Matt, the biggest thing for me that I was talking about with girls basketball a little bit, and I'll make the same comment here. You lost to the state champion, which means if you had won that game, you could have been state champion yourselves. And there's a lot of what ifs going around, but the one thing for me that goes beyond the what if, you saw last year what it took to make a champion because you lost to them. You saw how they dominated. You saw the ways they won. Implement that into the way you play. Become that champion that beat you, and see if you can come back here the next season and make that run yourself, because it's not too often you get to see the inevitable state champion. When you see what the cream of the crop looks like, the top of the line team, the only thing you can do is replicate a little bit. I mean, see what worked for them. Try and make it work for you. If it can't work for you, find something that worked better than what you did last time out, because what happened last time, it didn't work for you. So to me, I'm amazed to see what Carrie Palermo can draw up for this regional semifinal game, because Cinderella's been dancing in South Youngstown, and I don't think they're ready for midnight to strike.
Yeah, we'll see. I just may have to tune in here.
Should be great tonight. YSNlive.com, 6 p.m. Don't miss it. This
Wednesday.
is one for the ages.
I might miss it because
Yeah, you're gonna be out of state here.
yeah, I'm going to Philly.
Yep, Matt's gonna go hang out with Rocky. But
Yes.
let's go ahead and jump in here into college basketball. More tournaments basically to go through here all show long. So let's start this thing out with the Swac Conference led by number 1 Jackson State and number 1 Alcorn State. Two teams have been pretty good this season. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, they've been putting in some good runs here along with Texas Southern and Southern. So to me, it seems like a pretty wide open conference. You know, I don't have too much confidence in one team to make that big run. Obviously, some good talent going around, but at the end of the day, I mean, someone's got to make that final run. I'm going to be interested to see who that can be. I mean, Alcorn State's 15-15. Really, no one's impressed in this conference. It's been pretty split. I mean, the leader of the conference is 14-4 Alcorn State. That's their in-conference record. I kind of like Texas Southern. I think they've been a little bit more solid than a lot of the teams in this conference. But to me, Alcorn State, most likely team to run through. They're on a 6-game win streak. I like to see them finish that thing out strong.
I like my Alcorn State and Steve McNair.
Yeah, I mean, they got a chance right now at a potential 16 seed if they can win it. So it'll be a one-and-done year in the March Madness. But I think the goal is just to get there.
Yeah. I like this Alcorn State team, and you know me. I know it's football, but you know me. Steve McNair and Alcorn State. You know, I mean, YSU beat them. I mean, there's a huge article that says Air McNair comes to standby. I always bring it up, but Alcorn State. I mean, a good basketball team too. So we'll just have to wait and see, right?
I mean, what more can you do at this point? It's waiting
wait
time.
and watch. Grab popcorn.
We get to see who can punch their ticket to March. It's the most interesting time of the year in my book. Let's go into one of our Power 6 conferences, though. We got the Big East tournament starting out today at 4:30 p.m. Pretty much immediately following Power Hour on FS1. Butler and Xavier will tip things off for the Big East, followed at 7 p.m. by DePaul versus St. John's, and then followed at 9:30 by Georgetown versus Seton Hall. Matt, a bunch of tickets looking to get punched to March Madness here. Probably a good spot
Georgetown.
For 5, 6, 7, 8 teams to get in here for the Big East. They have been one of the best conferences all season long. At the moment, they have 5 20-win teams. Marquette on the outside at that 19 spot. So I'm interested to see how many teams they can potentially get in here. Trying to see. Yeah, they got Marquette right now as a 9 seed, and they're 6th seeded right now.
They're dangerous.
So a good squad to look at right now. I want to see actually how far back they can get a team in. I'll go St. John's as the 7 team, see if they can do something here.
I like the Red Storm, man.
It looks like St. John's is the cut, or Marquette looks to be the cutoff for this conference at the moment. Let me see Xavier real quick. No, they got Xavier in as an 11 seed, but Xavier's the cutoff for this conference right now. That seems pretty much locked up. It looks like here. So we're looking at the top, 7 teams right now for the Big East all getting in. If anything, this should make for one hell of a Big East tournament here today. So Butler, Xavier, I'm expecting Xavier to pull that off, considering they're the cutoff team right now, and Butler 6-14 in conference play. I'm not expecting anything out of them. Xavier should come in. They should dominate this game, and despite the fact this is an 8-9 matchup, Butler is a lot worse than a 9 seed coming into this one. They were finished second to last in the conference this season, and they were really quite abysmal throughout the year. So, but to me, you got to watch out in this opening day. Seton Hall, St. John, and Xavier to make these first round wins. Providence versus Xavier in the quarterfinal. I take Providence. Marquette Creighton in the second game of the quarterfinal on Thursday. That should be awesome to see.
You know who I'm taking?
I take Marquette in that one, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's a Providence versus Marquette. I got Providence to take that game in the semifinal, make it to the final on one side. On the other side of the bracket,
both in no matter what.
St. John's over to Paul here to start out tournament play today. St. John's then against Villanova. I have Nova taking that game, advancing to the semifinals. On the bottom side, Georgetown and Seton Hall. I got Seton Hall winning that game. I think I might actually take Seton Hall to take down UConn. UConn's actually had a sneakily great season, but I think I like Seton Hall a little bit better, so I'd take Seton Hall in that game, go up against Villanova, but I got a Nova Providence Big East championship game. And it seems this season, when those two teams have met up, it really has felt like it's been Villanova's to lose. So you probably got Villanova as the favorite right now to take down Providence in that championship matchup if they can get there, because the earlier matchup, Villanova's taken 2 of the 3. I know it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, especially with how close those have been. But to me, it shows Villanova is better in those close games when it comes down to it. So despite the fact I've liked Providence a heck of a lot more this season, I think Villanova has the edge if they can get down to that championship game.
Yeah, they do. I mean, this is such a toss-up, honestly. I like Providence. I like Marquette. I mean, all these teams you just said, definitely even UConn should have an automatic bid.
Yeah,
into the
I believe they are.
So, I mean, I like conference tournaments
along with
like
Houston,
this.
Iowa, and Texas.
Yeah, UConn's
been sneakily quiet because we haven't really talked about them at all in this conference, and they just made a nice jump down to finish out the season to get to this spot. I mean, they were playing some great basketball down the stretch, but I feel like they never had any long stretches of winning games, so you just never looked at them. But I mean, going 2-1 the whole time, I mean, it works.
Though. I like conferences like this because it's so tossed up. Because when you have so many teams that are like an automatic bid into the March Madness tournament and they're going and trying to win their conference, it's like, who's going to win? I mean,
yeah. I mean, when all these teams have that automatic bid, it no longer goes, oh, well, nobody needs it. Because at the moment now it's like, well, none of us need it. Now we all just have to go.
Conference is nice. They're all like, the conference championship is nice, but I want the big March Madness. You know, that's what they're all thinking.
That's the big thing, though, with this conference. I don't think they have anybody that makes it to the Final Four this year.
Me either, but, I mean, that's what they're all thinking.
I think this is the biggest title game that any of these teams are going to see this year. I'd be hesitant to see one of these teams make it past the Sweet 16, depending on where they fall. I think they have a chance to make Sweet 16. I like Providence a lot. Do I think they're an Elite 8 team? I don't think so this year. The inconsistencies for me is what does it for teams like Nova and Providence. Every time you start counting on them, they fall apart. And I mean, I'll say that about my Buckeyes too. Every time you go to count on them, they fall apart. We'll talk about the Big Ten later in this show. But to me, I think there lies too many question marks with these teams in the Big East to stay consistent. So unless they get an easy line, you know, I don't think they got a shot getting past Sweet 16. And maybe that's a hot take, considering they got 2 top 10 teams and a multitude of, you know, top 25 teams. And obviously the Big East is getting 7 teams into this bracket, potentially 8 if they can get an automatic bid from one of these lower ranked squads like St. John's, if they can make that run and run through this bracket. But to me, when you look at this, I don't see consistency lying in the Big East. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, because out of our top seeded teams, Arizona, I've seen consistency. Gonzaga, it's been there. Baylor, they had one slip up, but for the most part, it's been there. Auburn, they've had a couple slip ups along the way, but I say it's there. Like Kentucky or Duke, who's definitely shown a lack of it, I still think are more consistent teams than any of these Big East squads. So that's my opinion on it. Obviously, I have been very high on Providence this season. I love what they put together, but do I think it competes?
That's why I was like, what?
Stage? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what? But I get that. Villanova is a tough team, and
they're a tough team, but when they've had to make the easy ones, they don't do it. It's like missing a wide open layup.
It's always the hard ones, though.
It's like, how do you do it?
They always win the hard ones, though.
Right, which I think that there's a reason that if they go up into the Sweet 16, I think they slip up, because I think they're going to be taking things for granted at that point.
Okay. That's fair.
I see a lack of consistency here. So to be able to win 3 straight games, especially for a team like UConn, as I just mentioned, who's pretty much, it feels like they've been going win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 1 all season long, which is why they've really flown under the radar, because they've made no long streaks out of anything. That's, you can't win 3 games in a row. I can't trust you to make a tournament run. And that just feels like Providence. Cool. I've seen you win 6 games in a row, but then you lose 3 straight. What am I really getting from you? And all of these, you know, if you were to put these into math terms, it feels like you're getting a ratio of 2 wins to 1 loss, and that's not going to work in March.
No. But you never know. Some of these teams just turn on.
I'd love to see Providence make this run. I would love it.
Oh, me too.
Or I mean, I love to see any of these Big East teams make that run. I mean, it feels like they always make that splash in round one, but then they always come up short.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I took Providence out of it, man. Who are you taking out of the Big East officially, though?
I like Marquette, man, but I gotta go Villanova.
Take on Creighton, Providence, and probably Villanova.
Yeah. I gotta go Villanova, though.
That's probably the best bet. That's probably where Mike would go with it, too.
I love Marquette because they're a real thorn in in all these teams. They come right from underneath you and just say, hey, not so fast. That's why I like this team. They're scrappy, and they're a solid team. Yes, they've lost here and there. How many games have they lost? Like 6, 7 games?
Marquette is 19-11.
Oh, okay. Still. But I mean, almost a 21 season, but I like this Marquette team. But I got to go Villanova. They've been up and down a little bit, but I think they're one of the most solid teams, honestly, in this conference. They've beaten everybody, so.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Well, next one up here for us, we'll go into the Southland Conference. Matt, we were talking about Incarnate Word on yesterday's show. This is their conference. They got a shot at Houston Baptist in the first round. Probably counting Incarnate Word out, they were the last place team in their conference. New Orleans, Texas A&M, CC are the two teams already in the quarterfinals, getting that round one bye. Nicholls State and Southeastern Louisiana get 2 round byes. To me, Matt, it's Nicholls State in this conference. They seem to
me too.
Just be that team that they're a solid rock at the top of the conference, and I think
they're
these last few
rock.
years you've been looking for that one team that seems to dominate. And to me, it's the Nicholls State squad. I mean, they've been great at home, average on the road, but no one in this conference has been good on the road. So I give this one to Nicholls State. Pretty easy, quick pick on this one.
Me too. They're a solid rock in a division that is just a bunch of pebbles.
Yeah,
like Bikini Bottom. They're the bottom.
Okay. Well, let's jump right past the Southern Conference. Let's keep it down south, though. We'll go the Southeastern Conference, the SEC. Matt, I think this conference down here in the SEC might be one of the most wide open tournaments along right there with the Big Ten. I'm not sure about the Big 12, but definitely this SEC team going to be playing Tampa Bay, Florida all throughout this week. They'll start out today at 6 p.m. with the Ole Miss and Missouri game. Probably don't see much of a game there between those two. I mean, it should be good, but neither one of those teams are really good. I mean, they're two of the bottom feeders in this conference. Mississippi, or I should say Ole Miss, finish out the season on a 4-game losing streak. I think they probably take that elimination in the first round to Mizzou, so I'd give Mizzou the edge there. And the other of the games, Georgia and Vanderbilt. I'm actually going to pick Vanderbilt to win this game because Georgia has won just one conference game all season long in which they upset the Alabama team that is currently sitting in 6th place of the SEC in this bracket. So if Georgia wins, they have a rematch against Alabama. So who knows if they can do it? I don't give them that edge. Then starting out in the second round on the top side of our bracket, Florida will take on Texas A&M. Personally, Matt, Texas A&M,
I like Florida
on the season, but I like Florida in that game a little bit more. They just seem, when the cards are down, they seem to find ways to win games, and I like that about them. They've seemed scrappy this season, and right now they're looking at a 12 seed in the bracket. So I got some confidence with the fact that I think this team has got some respect behind it. I think they're a solid team, and Texas A&M, to me, at the moment, what are they looking at here? They're on the bubble of teams. So despite the fact that they have a better record than Florida, they're not being given the same numbers as Florida is right now. So we don't even know if Texas A&M will make it. They need this tournament right now, and that makes them dangerous. But I think Florida takes this matchup here in the second round, advance to the quarterfinals, in which they will have Auburn, who sits on a 2-game bye to start this thing out. That'll be the quarterfinal game. I got Florida going against Auburn. I have Auburn take that to advance to the semifinal. Their opponent in the semifinal, either LSU or Arkansas. Out of those two teams,
Razorbacks.
I think I'd go with the Razorbacks, yeah, because you look at LSU when they've hit the road this season, 2-8. They suck on the road, and that's hard to overcome it at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I like this Razorbacks team, but I mean, how can you not go against Auburn?
LSU is projected to be a 6th seed in March Madness this year. I think this is one of the best teams you see to get that first round upset. I think this is the 6th seed that goes down.
Really?
LSU, they've been terrible on the road. I mean,
Oh, you're talking about LSU. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Auburn looking good.
No.
Yeah. LSU.
I mean, Arkansas right now, they're looking at a 4 seed, depending on if they can get some stuff along here. So, yeah, they've been phenomenal this season. Let's see where Tennessee is sitting. Tennessee is looking at a 3, and then you probably got Auburn.
Tennessee.
Auburn looking at a 1. Kentucky is looking at
a 2.
So, I mean, you got some phenomenal teams coming here at the top. But out of LSU and Arkansas, I got Arkansas taking on Auburn in that semifinal. I'd probably have Auburn coming out of that, though, to go to the final. On the bottom
I'm the same way.
Bracket, I got South Carolina taking down Mississippi State in the second round to advance into the quarterfinal against number 2 Tennessee. I'd have Tennessee winning that game. Alabama, I'd have advancing to take on Kentucky in the quarterfinal. I don't think Alabama has the pieces. I like what they had earlier this season. I definitely think they can make some noise. But when you got Ty Washington Jr. and Oscar Tshiebwe on that Kentucky squad, this feels like a team poised to make a run in tournament play. So I got Kentucky taking that one. And a Kentucky versus Tennessee matchup to me definitely is a coin flip between the two. But I think I'd give Kentucky the edge. And I got my 1 versus 3 seed championship game between Auburn and Kentucky. Out of that game, I don't know who to pick in that game, because that's about as close as you can get the teams being pretty much neck and neck. I mean, regular season, Auburn beat Kentucky by 9 in one of the matchups, and looks like that might have been their only matchup this season, actually. So Auburn going for the season sweep if they were to do that, which looks very hard to do. And I think you saw Auburn struggle a little bit down the stretch. So I think I'd actually give that edge to Kentucky, despite the fact they don't like them as much on the road. And I think Auburn's a little bit more of a solid team. But I think down the stretch, I mean, you saw some solid play out of this Kentucky team. They took a slip up to a 9-seeded Tennessee and a 15-seeded Arkansas. I don't have problems with that one as much. I think Auburn was losing games they should have won, though. And not to mention that big win for Kentucky over Kansas, to me, still holds a lot of weight. And the 2 losses definitely hurt, but I think Kentucky right now is playing the best basketball in the SEC. So I'd give Kentucky the edge to win the SEC championship this year over Auburn. That's who I got running this conference.
Yeah, it's tricky, but I like Auburn. I like Kentucky. But I mean, Kentucky, they're good. I like what John Calipari is doing. I like his recruiting, but I don't think these guys stay with each other long enough. I think Auburn's players do. I mean, Bruce Pearl, he keeps their guys. They don't go off into the NBA after one season. You're going to see a lot of players do that for Kentucky. Definitely Oscar Tshiebwe. So yeah. I gotta give it to the team that they've been with each other for a while. So I gotta give it to
you
that.
have the same bracket layout as me though, with Auburn versus Kentucky. Okay,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
but you give that ebb to Auburn. I like Auburn. I think that's a big part of it. Is having
me too.
Sticking around together for so long. It's definitely gonna bode well into making this team a potential squad to make that run. So I like that. I like seeing Auburn. I hope they can make that run. I hope they take the SEC, but at the same time, I'm not going to mind seeing Kentucky make that run either, because I think this season those two have really separated themselves as the 2 big dogs of the SEC this year. And in a conference that I have called weak at times, I like the top 4. Outside of that, I don't really like the rest of it. I think Arkansas and Tennessee, though, they have poised to make splash in this SEC tournament. And come March, I think they got a good shot of – I think we got a great shot, actually, of seeing 4 SEC teams in that Sweet 16.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, it's going to depend on who those matchups end up being. But at the moment, if you're just looking at what these teams could do, I think Sweet 16 is very possible. I think there's a chance you get 3 SEC teams getting down into the Elite 8. Because like I said, I hate everyone outside of that top 4. That top 4, though, is about as solid as a rock. So I like that top 4. Moving on, me too. We have the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference led by number 1, Norfolk State, number 2, Howard, number 3, NC Central, number 4, Morgan State, number 5, South Carolina State, number 6, Maryland Eastern Shore, number 7, Coppin State, and number 8, Delaware State. Matt, obviously this is not one of the biggest conferences. They really haven't made much noise throughout the season. Norfolk State, though, is a 20-win team. I think I'm going to go ahead and give them this conference title pretty quickly. I like Howard, but I don't know. they just don't seem to put games together, and I think that's one thing Norfolk State has done a little bit better. They dominated conference play. I mean, they went 12-2 throughout the season. I don't think anyone's really going to give them much of a challenge throughout this Mid-Eastern Athletic, especially not Delaware State, a team that has no wins inside of the Mid-Eastern play. They have just 2 wins on the season, and get this, Matt, are on a 23-game losing streak.
What?
23 straight losses.
I didn't even hear this
hard
team.
to be that bad.
I didn't
Delaware
hear the team.
State. They're the 8th seed in the MEAC, so I don't have much confidence they're going to do anything. Morgan State versus SC State, probably not much there. I mean, they're both average. I think that's a coin flip on who comes out of that section. But Howard and Coppin State, 6 wins in conference play below 500, just 7 wins on the season. Don't have confidence with them to make a run, so I'd give Howard the win there. And NC Central going up against Maryland East Shore. Maybe the edge to SC State, but there really isn't a lot to give me in this MEAC conference. Obviously, we'll get the automatic bid to Norfolk State if they can get that. Norfolk State looking at a 15 seed right now to potentially get into the bracket. Not a lot of confidence, though, that they can get past that. I don't think they have what it takes to beat a number 2 seeded team. So that's where I sit on it. I'm giving Norfolk State the dub.
Yeah, me too. Quick,
and, not to discredit anything they've done this season, but it's definitely one of the weaker years for that conference. They don't have much going on. Not a lot of big recruits. And, hey, if they make some noise, prove me wrong, baby. Prove me wrong. I won't mind seeing it.
Me either.
Well, let's get into another conference here. This one is the America East Conference, and they're all the way coming down to their championship or their semifinals today. Championship game this Saturday at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. But semifinals here, number 1 Vermont taking on number 6 Binghamton, and the other one, the good old boys who are the only 16 seed to ever knock off a 1 seed, the number 2 UMBC Golden Retrievers. They have number 4 Hartford coming up. Both these games tonight at 7 p.m. Matt, this should be some fun games to see potentially. I think the championship game definitely a little bit better, but when you got this matchup here and you got a historic team in UMBC and a Vermont team this season that is 26-5 on a 6-game win streak right now and has lost just once in conference play, only one of these teams gets that automatic bid. The rest of them, adios to your season. It's done after this. So at the moment, UMBC will be going up against Hartford, a team that was middle of the pack this season, 9-9 in conference play, 12-19 overall, 5-11 on the road. Getting down to this point, definitely a big accomplishment for Hartford. But I think UMBC a little bit better of a team this year, 11-7 in conference play, 17-13 overall. I think they take that game. Then on the other side, Binghamton versus Vermont. Binghamton 8-10 in conference play, 12-16 overall. Don't have confidence. I got Vermont versus UMBC in the America East Championship game this Saturday, and what should be a really awesome game between those two talents. But unfortunately, I have to go against the Golden Retrievers. Vermont's just having one of those seasons that you can't count against them this year. So I got Vermont to take that spot. Interested to see where they'll fall. Looks like at the moment they'll be getting around a 13 seed in this year's March Madness. So that being said, I think they're a solid team, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make this push down into the late stages and get something past that first round. Good team, but I think their luck runs out in March. But I like Vermont to win the America East Conference this year over UMBC.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good matchup. That's probably the same matchup I'll go with too. But man, I mean, I get it. Like, Hartford's Vermont's a good team, but I mean, UMBC is cool. I mean,
yeah.
But I'll probably go. I mean, I'd love to see them get in again, but I mean, based off what you said, I mean, probably got to go Vermont too, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, as much as I'm sure everybody would like to see another run by the good bullies, the Golden Retrievers, don't think it's going to happen this year. I'd love to see it, though, so we'll never know.
Last time they played Vermont, they lost. I mean, they lost pretty bad. Where was it? 86 to 59. I mean,
yeah.
So we'll see.
Vermont's they've had one of those years, man, where
they've beaten Hartford before. So
yeah. Their one
We'll
loss
see what
came to
happens.
Hartford, though, for Vermont this season. So I guess we'll see
Okay.
what happens here. Going into our next one here, the Patriot League championship game here tonight at 7:30. Navy versus Colgate. Both teams 20-plus wins on the season. Should be a good one between these two squads. Winner obviously gets that automatic bid into championship. These are the top two teams in the Patriot League all season long. Colgate, though, Matt, riding a 14-game winning streak. As much as I love picking, Navy whenever they come on, I think I got to go with Colgate, man. They seem to be a team that is starting to make a few more runs into March Madness, into the big dance. And at the moment, they're looking at a potential 14 seed if they can get there. I think they got a good chance to get there. So I'm going to give it to Colgate this time out. Obviously, they got to win this game. It should be a tight one. Navy, they've been phenomenal on the road, though. 11-4 when they've hit it. And I think that bodes well when they get down to this tournament. I mean, they've definitely been playing strong throughout. And they've won both of their tournament games after losing the final game of the season to Colgate by 5. They went out there, beat American by 7 points, and they beat Boston University by 5 points. So they definitely had some good competition to give it through, but I think much like Vermont, Colgate's having one of those years where I have to give it to them. So I got Colgate taking home the Patriot League title this year, Matt.
Yeah, Colgate, good team, but I mean, I'm just gonna go Navy.
Go for it, man. I know you don't like picking against the armed forces,
No,
especially
I
not
love
Navy.
Navy. Oh no, I love Navy. Oof. But all right.
That leaves looks to be one more conference tournament to talk about here for the day. We still have 3 more to get to along the rest of the season or the rest of the week, but the MAC doesn't start till tomorrow, nor does the American, and the Ivy League will go after that. So actually, I think I might be forgetting one.
Oh no, Alek Koberna forgot one.
Mainly because I think I
I
probably wrote over top of it on a different one while I was filling this out. But we got the Big 12, which is the one I forgot to write down here. So let me pull this up real quick. They start out today as well. So let's go through this one while we're here. We got Kansas State starting off with West Virginia today, 6 p.m. game on ESPNU. What's that?
Huggy.
Yeah, I like Huggy Bear to take that first win. I know.
Me too.
K-State's always seem to be a tough program, and they always seem to bounce around and just give people fits all season long. These are the 2 worst teams, though, in the Big 12. 5-game losing skid for K-State. I think West Virginia finds a way to win this one. They've been pretty terrible, though, in conference play as well. So I give this one to West Virginia. It's the only game I will give to them, though, out of this Big 12 bracket. Next games up will be on Thursday, the quarterfinals. Start of it will be Texas versus TCU. Should be 2 great games. I like both of these teams. Make a run, and I think I'd actually give this one to TCU. I like the a little bit more. I don't really have an explanation for that because Texas has definitely been the stronger team, but I think when it comes down to it, I think TCU has that ability to win that one game when it needs to. And I'm not sure if you have that on the other side of this show. I'd have TCU advancing to the semifinals. Kansas takes on the winner of that K-State West Virginia game. Either way, Kansas is winning that matchup. They will advance to the semifinal to take on, in our opinion, TCU. I'd have Kansas eating that game up in a heartbeat. On the other side of this bracket, though, to potentially take on Kansas in that final matchup this coming Saturday on March 12th. Baylor and Oklahoma will start things out for Thursday on this side of the bracket in Game 4. Baylor, Oklahoma, they got a shot, man, to pull this upset. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it, but we have known Baylor to slip up in some big moments. So I got Baylor coming out of it. Yeah, their matchup potentially either Texas Tech or Iowa State. I liked Iowa State early, but they definitely slid off. And I'm interested to see if Isaiah Brockington can step up here in the postseason. I think they got a shot for the upset, but ultimately I'm going to give it to Texas Tech here. They've just been so solid. They seem to be a program that's been solid for a couple of years here in a row. So I'm going to give it to them again to make another run of this year, but I think they get cut up short against Baylor. And Baylor in a big game against Texas Tech, I think they play strong. So my championship game, yeah, it'll be the 1 versus 2, Kansas versus Baylor. But in the Big 12 this year, that seems about what's been pretty much going on between these two, kind of flip-flopping for that first place. And I think it has to come down to them this season to really solidify a Big 12 champion, because they were neck and neck all year long. It feels fitting that has to be the way this thing goes out. So in a Baylor versus Kansas game, that thing would be about as close as possible. And I think I'd have to give it to Baylor.
Even Texas Tech, man.
You'd like Texas Tech over Kansas. Over Baylor.
They've beaten Baylor before. So
okay, so you have a Kansas-Texas Tech championship game. Who would you give that one?
Probably Kansas. But
okay,
Texas
so
Tech is still.
In my
Texas
side, I'd
Tech
have Baylor.
Texas Tech is already in the tournament, I bet. Right?
Yeah.
So I hope.
Yeah, Texas Tech is looking at a 4 seed right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, they'd be in.
Let's see if TCU's got a spot.
Yeah, but Texas Tech, man, they screw stuff up. They screw stuff up. They're just like a Marquette. They go in there and screw people up. They screw teams up. They're like the Detroit Pistons, like the bad boy Detroit Pistons, like going in and screwing up all the good teams,
Yeah, Matt, one thing this year, though, Iowa State's is the last team in for the Big 12, so they're going to get 9 out of their 12 teams into March Madness this year. I think that's very overrated. This Big 12 conference, considering the fact that they only had 4 teams over 500 in conference play, speaks to, I think, the lack of ability in this one to be consistent. In my championship game, though, between Baylor and Kansas, I've liked Baylor all year. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt one more time to finish that thing out in the Big 12 and see what they can do out of it. But I think you look down on the potential for the Big 12 into March Madness. I think they got a chance, 2 teams getting past the Sweet 16. They might get 3 or 4 into the Sweet 16. I might cut that off at 3, though. They'd be lucky to get 3. In my opinion, they probably got 2, Kansas and Baylor. I think Texas Tech, they always seem to be a second or third round exit for them. Obviously, it's not a lot to get to the Sweet 16, but getting past the Sweet 16 is a big problem. I think they have a shot at 2, but I think they probably only get 1 into that Final Four, which is obviously very good. So if you can get 1 team to the Final Four, it's been a strong year for your conference, for those programs in it. So to me, the team's got to be Baylor, though. I'm not sure what Kansas really has beyond Agbaji. I mean, they've been solid all year, but I don't know. They seem sketchy at some points to be able to pull out the wins when you need them most. So, in my opinion, I think Baylor's the best team. I think they're going to take that here.
Yeah, me too.
That's one final conference, I believe, so long as I haven't missed any more throughout the week. Let's see. We got ACC, we got Pac-12, we got Big 12, I got SEC, Big East. Now, let's get into the Big 10. So we at least got the major ones out of the way, and hopefully we were able to hit at least most of the other conferences. I mean, looking at down the list, it looks like we did a pretty good job getting everything in here.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, 3 more conferences yet to get into action here, but I don't think we got the Missouri Valley because they were already done before this week started. So was Ohio Valley. So a couple we didn't get to, but for the most part here, looks like we got everything. So go us, man. We actually got through pretty much an entire slate of conference action. So let's wrap this thing up. 10. Best way to do it. First round of matchups going on today. Nebraska and Northwestern. Matt, I'm going to give this one to Nebraska. I know they're the worst team in the Big 10, but they're on a 3-game winning streak, which includes wins against Ohio State and Wisconsin. And I don't know what it is, man. They're finding ways to win. And they're a scrappy team. Northwestern kicked their butts last time. There was a 12-point win for Northwestern. But I think this time around, I think Nebraska's got the number with confident wins over a 23-point win over Penn State, an 8-point win over the Buckeyes, and a 1-point win over Wisconsin. This is a team right now poised to make that run. And I think Nebraska at least gets this first-round win against Northwestern, which would set them up in a game against Iowa, a team that put them on their backs last time and won by double digits. Last matchup before, they beat them by 23. So I'd probably give Iowa the advantage third time around. But I think Nebraska at least takes that win against Northwestern. The other game, Minnesota versus Penn State. I think that's a pretty good coin flip to put between the two of them. One thing for me, Penn State, they 1-10 on the road this season, and obviously
I know.
Big Ten tournament play.
They've been close games, though. They've been close. Some of them have.
But Matt,
get in within.
if you're talking about close games, that's fine. But if you can't win a close game, I can't depend on you to win. Yeah,
they can't pull them off.
They ain't got that killer mentality. And for me, they kicked Minnesota's butt the last matchup on the 17th, 67-46. Are you kidding me? That is insane. And then 76-70, Minnesota won the first time around. So in the grudge match here, I think Minnesota comes back with a bit of a vengeance. I'd like to see this one go close. I'll give the edge to Penn State just because I know you and Mike both Penn State fans of this one.
Oh yeah,
but
I'm going Penn State.
I don't think either one of these teams
they play
the next round anyway. Yeah, they'll go up against the Buckeyes. So I'd love to see Ohio State, Penn State in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
No, just second round. Second quarterfinal will be a Friday.
Okay.
But
how about Rutgers, man? Woo!
Yeah, we'll get down there. Thursday's matchups: Indiana, Michigan. I love this matchup. I think Indiana, they find ways to win scrappy matchups. Michigan, though, returning Juwan Howard. They beat Ohio State in the regular final season game. I think they let a little bit of a spark in them. I think they were looking for some life, and I think maybe Juwan Howard's suspension actually gave it to them, gave this team something to kind of fight for and rally around. Whether it was a bad situation, but I think it gave some energy or life to this team, just some grit, and I think sometimes incidents like that where it looks bad in the program, bad on the team, you get a lot of trash talk against you. What I think sometimes it does is it gives that team a mental edge sometimes that just go, hey, man, we're the bad boys now. We ain't the good guys. We're the villains of this story, and they go out there and act like it. And I think when Michigan is their best, they are the villains, man. They've always been the villains, at least in my book as a Buckeye fan. Michigan has always been there to spoil my fun as a Buckeye. They've always been there to make some noise. And I think you get another situation just like that here. And I got Michigan going over Indiana in this first round because I feel like this is a mean team right now.
I'm going to still go Hoosiers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I just think that's a mean Wolverine right now. And one thing I know as a Buckeye fan, when the Wolverines go hardest, there's only a couple of teams that can knock them down. My Buckeyes are one of the things that can take them down. So I'd love seeing a Big Ten championship between Ohio State and Michigan. Is that going to happen? No way, no how. I don't even think it's possible either one of those teams gets to the championship game. As much as I'd love it, Ohio State hasn't shown any consistency to win big games, and neither has Michigan. So with that being said, next matchup, I gave the edge to Nebraska over Western, so I'd have Iowa going up against Nebraska in this game. I'd have Iowa taking that game. I like Nebraska, to make that first round win, but I think they get knocked out from there, Matt.
Me too. Now, is Ohio State an automatic bid? They'll be in the automatically, right? They've been ranked all year, haven't they?
They dropped out thanks to that Nebraska loss, but at the moment they're a 6th seed, so I don't see them dropping out.
Okay.
They look to be a team that's pretty much locked up. So,
okay, but yeah, I gotta go Iowa in this one as well.
Yeah. So next game, Maryland, Michigan State. I think this is a good one. Maryland, they've been struggling all season, but this is a strong team, and I think if the Cards are down, they got a shot, man, and they got a bad defense, and that hurts them at times. And they were close against Michigan State though to start out the month of February. A 2-point loss to that team, the only time they've matched up. So. They lost the final game of the regular season. Didn't see that one against Michigan State. So back-to-back games. I think I'd actually give this one to Maryland. I mean, considering they just played on Sunday and they got to play on Thursday. I think Maryland can take it this time. I like Michigan State, but I got a feeling Maryland.
I'm going Michigan State. I got Michigan State.
Hey, it's hard to win 3 times against one team. So
it's hard to win one time against one team in the Big Ten, man. Whew.
That's for sure. But next game here for Thursday in the second round, I'll give Penn State the edge over Minnesota. So Ohio State versus Penn State. Matt, I think this would be a fun one for us here on the show to see our two teams go up against each other in basketball year. But I'm giving my Buckeyes the edge in this one. They've been a better team. I think Penn State could play spoiler here. I mean, 7-13 overall in conference play. They can win, but I think Ohio State, they can take care of business against Penn State. It was only a 5-point win back in January against your Nittany Lions, but I think Chris Holtman's going to find a way to light a fire under this team for at least a round here to get past this second round. If they can't get past Thursday's matchup against Penn State, I don't even want to watch them come March because this is embarrassing. The amount of talent they got on this team. I mean, EJ Liddell was just named third-team All-American, which to me that's a bit odd because if he's up for their Man of the Year award, how is he third-team All-American and not first-team? So a little odd there. It seems like the media doesn't exactly know what to take out of EJ Liddell, and I think I'm on a similar boat because at times this looks like the best basketball player in college basketball, and other times he looks like he shouldn't be on the floor. So I think that does have to do with the guys around him, and obviously the Buckeyes have been missing Kyle Young. He missed senior night as well.
Oh, man.
If they can get Kyle Young back, this is a dangerous squad, but Kyle Young seems to be just injury-prone every year for Ohio State.
Yeah, seems to be. That's why he's still there. He's trying to get one good season to get a good resume to be picked in the NBA, and he's always hurt. So there you have that. I don't know. This Big Ten is just wide open. I don't even know who's going to win it. Probably end up somebody. The Rutgers will probably win it. Honestly, that's not a far assumption. Like that's closer than a lot of people think. They're a 4 seed. So they have the first 2 rounds for a bye. So that may come up and bite them though. I mean, sitting around waiting. So we'll have to see. But
yeah, I'm looking here with what Kyle Young's injury is. I'm trying to see when he will be back. I think there's a chance he's back here for the tournament. I think they have to win this round one, though, to get him back. So I'd have to go Ohio State over Penn State here to get that.
Oh. Yeah.
So in the next matchup, Matt, you would have Indiana taking on Illinois. I'd have Michigan going up against Illinois. I think Illinois has to take this, man. They finished out regular season Big Ten champions. Kofi Cogburn, at times, this guy looks like an absolute freak of nature. Other times, I mean, he's kind of similar to EJ Liddell for me. He takes over games, but at the same time, I feel like he slacks off a little bit in the way he can take over. I feel like here in the Big Ten tournament, you're going to see what this guy's truly made of, and I hope that something's good because he's got a lot of talent in those arms and legs of his. He's got a lot of talent in that whole body. So I got Illinois coming out Friday, advancing to the semifinal on Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
So on our other matchup, got Iowa going up against Rutgers in our potential bracket breakdown here.
Rutgers!
Iowa versus Rutgers. This is a good one. I mean, Rutgers
this is sweet.
Somehow made this run all the way up here to get a higher seed than Iowa. I mean, both 12.
So they have to win to get in.
Huh?
Would they have to win to get in?
They're a 12 seed right now. I know a lot of the spots behind them look to be automatic bids. So with teams like Indiana, SMU, BYU, Texas A&M, and VCU on the bubble, I think the door is open that if Rutgers loses here, especially early, they don't make it. But considering the fact they're a 4 seed in the Big Ten, I think they got a good shot to stay alive and make a late spot. And I think if this is a 12-seeded Rutgers, I think this is a 12-seeded Rutgers that makes it potentially close down into the round of 32.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, I mean, you talk a team getting to the Sweet 16, you have to be pretty good, but that's 2 games. You got to win 2 games to get there, and Rutgers is a team that can win 2 games. You give someone 2 games as a shot. Is Ohio State capable of doing that? I don't know. I don't know if Ohio State is this year to make that. Is Michigan State? I don't think so. Is Illinois, Wisconsin, and Purdue teams that can win 2 games? I would say so. So to have Rutgers in that conversation as one of those teams that has that chance to win 2 games, I say they got as good a shot as anyone in the Big Ten of those main teams. So I give Rutgers the edge over Iowa to advance against Illinois into that semifinal. I think I give Illinois then the edge over Rutgers because Illinois is just that good of a team this season. But I'd have Wisconsin advancing over Maryland, and I'm imagining you're having Wisconsin advance over Michigan State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So, at the moment, 3 of our top seeds have won. I got Ohio State versus Purdue. Did you pick Penn State to beat Ohio State?
Yeah.
But then you probably have Penn State dropping at Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is the hard one for me. I mean, Ohio State going up against Purdue, it's a winnable game, in my opinion, for Ohio State. But it all depends on which Ohio State team is coming out. Is it the one that lost by 3 points to them earlier in the season? Or is it the Ohio State team that, lost to Nebraska to finish out the year? Lost to Nebraska, Maryland, Michigan to end out this season. I mean, they went 3-3 to finish out the year. So, which if it's the Buckeye team that beat Minnesota 70-45, then yeah, I say Ohio State can take it. But if it's the same one that just lost to Nebraska, they're going to get their rear ends destroyed and kicked out of this building before halftime against Purdue. So I think Ohio State can do it. I'm going to pick them. I'm not confident in that pick, but I'd have Ohio State, Wisconsin as my other semifinal matchup. And with Illinois going over Rutgers, I'd probably give the edge then to Wisconsin to take down Ohio State in that game. Wisconsin, they've just been phenomenal this season. The earlier matchup gave Wisconsin a 10-point win over my Buckeyes. First time, though, back in December, it was a near 20-point win for Ohio State over Wisconsin. So to me, it's a coin flip. But with the way both teams are playing right now, I'd probably give that edge, unfortunately, to Wisconsin to win that game. If Ohio State plays hot in that Purdue game, I'll flip that pick right around if they can do that. So I'd love to see my Buckeyes advance to a Big Ten championship game. But I know the way this team plays in tournaments, they always come up short. So you got to cut it at some point. But Wisconsin, Illinois, what a great way that would be to end out the season for the Big Ten here, Matt. And if that can be the case, I mean, it should be something fun. In that matchup, though, Illinois, Wisconsin, who do you give the edge to?
Coin flip. Okay, heads Illinois, tails Wisconsin. It's tails. Give me Wisconsin.
You go Wisconsin. I'll go Illinois then on the other side because earlier the only matchup of the season, Illinois took it. So that being the case, that wraps up our almost all of our show for today. We got to make some quick picks. Then we are done for the Wednesday edition. We're already at 57 minutes on our end. So
yeah, we went. I knew it was going to take up the whole show. So
yeah, Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat in the NBA today. Matt, who you got in that game?
Oh man, I don't know. I love both of these teams. I love the Miami Heat. I love the Suns. Suns are really dominant, but the Heat are too. This is a very potential NBA Finals matchup here.
I'm gonna go Suns. So if you want to flip it, go Heat.
I'll go Heat.
Probably the best way.
I'll go Heat. So
all right.
I love the Suns though. I love this team with Chris Paul, and this is definitely the best team he's ever been on. Even better than the Blake Griffin
up here though. It looks to be
team with the Clippers.
Well, actually, we'll go over into the NHL. Capitals, Oilers tonight.
Oilers.
Yeah, I know you hate those Caps.
Well, the Capitals stink. So there you have it. I don't care what your algorithm says.
My algorithm picks the Capitals in this game.
No.
Those are just as bad. I mean, they're 4-5-1 in their last 10 on a 3-game losing streak. 30-23 overall. The Capitals are 30-18 overall. Capitals are the better team. Give me the Caps.
All right.
But that will do it here. Another edition of the Casual Sports Podcast wrapped up. Come on back tomorrow for our college basketball top 10 and 2 more conference tournaments to go over. Should be an interesting one. We got the Ivy League to go, or the MAC tomorrow and the American Ivy League to come on Friday, but that will do it. Stay tuned. Power Hour coming up next on YSNlive.com. Wednesday show. We're out.